Alrighty, thanks for watching. Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys are checking your emails. A lot of new videos are out. So part 2 of building a stock portfolio, that video is out already. So make sure you guys are watching for that. It's a lot of good information in there. Also, we have Gnosticism. Gnosticism is also out. It is available as well. The link is in the description. If you are a Never Pay Again member, the link is in the description for you to click on it and watch. You should be able to download it from there as well. So the link is in the description for Never Pay Again members to get Gnosticism as well. Merkle Scholar Society members, you guys already got the link. Also, scholars, occult science, that video is available as well. You guys got sent that link. Check your emails for that. Occult science for Merkle Scholar Society members. So also we have wholesale. So you guys will be getting the wholesale video today, as well as the meeting for the Secret Destiny of America, the occult book, the book we read for, Manly P. Hall. So we did the whole first 5 pages or chapters or what have you. It's just the beginning 5 numbers in the book. And we did that meeting. So you guys will get the video for that meeting if you missed that. And make sure you guys send the PDF to everybody. Make sure you guys read those pages. Interesting stuff. So we got into that in that meeting. So you guys make sure you look out for that video as well. Also have a meeting tonight. So a lot going on for scholars. We're doing a lot over here. So make sure you guys are checking your emails and staying up to date on all that information. Again, this is the last weekend to get Merkabah Scholar Society at this price. It's going up Monday. The app will be releasing, should be coming out today, hopefully, but should be up on Monday for sure. Everything looks clear and good for that. So we'll be taking everything from the app from here on out. So yeah, a lot going on. Scholars, make sure you guys are checking your emails. We'll get into all that. But let's get into this video. So been talking a lot about Trump lately. The dude just won't stop talking about what he's going to do and everything that's going to happen. So now he's talking about signing an executive order to basically cut funding for schools who teach critical race theory, as well as any type of sexual gender stuff, which I can understand that part. But critical race theory, like, come on. So that's been something that's been up and been debated for a long time. So we'll see what happens with that whole thing. So a lot of people have been asking, since Trump's talking about so many things he's going to do, will he be able to do all this stuff? And the answer is no. Day one stuff, he's saying no, but it's possible. It's possible because of his control over the Supreme Court. We know Trump put 4 of those guys there, but the Supreme Court has the final say-so on matters involving the Constitution. I mean, you got to think about it. So this dude basically got found guilty, right? And he was supposed to be sentenced and all that stuff was supposed to happen to Trump and everything like that, convicted, felon, all that kind of stuff. And the Supreme Court threw it all out, right? He went there and basically said, hey, if you can't charge me with a crime when I'm running the damn country, I'm the president. And they said, okay. And that's the end of it. So now you have them, pulling back on everything and taking everything back. And the people that was talking smack is looking real stupid right now because they thought he was going down. So they was talking all mad crap. And he's been, Trump is funny, boy. He's been outing all these guys. Everybody who turned their back on him when they thought he was going to go to prison, no way this guy's going to become the president. So all the people who jumped online and jumped on the news media and started running their mouth thinking that this guy's going under, and then now he's freaking the president-elect right now. He's been coming at everybody hard, and he's trying to get rid of a lot of people. So it's crazy. But the Supreme Court does have a final say-so in a lot of these matters. But you got to look at it and understand that, Trump has control over this. So who knows what he's going to be able to get the Supreme Court to basically allow, since they basically gave him the keys to the kingdom and say he's basically untouchable. So yeah, a lot of people was asking also about the, income tax. Because a lot of people don't know, like I said, paying federal taxes is unconstitutional. It's something we should not be doing. It was something that was a big deal when it was first implemented by Lincoln. Lincoln was the one who basically put the first federal income taxes in place to basically fund the war. So this is when it happened, and they just kept it. They kept it, and it's been gone for all this time. But you have to think about it, how they looked at it then. It was something that should have been temporary to fund the war, right? So now we're paying all this tax money to fund what? Federal tax is supposed to fund welfare programs, Medicaid, healthcare, stuff like that, right? So the biggest one right now, and of course, everybody always talk about homelessness and poverty in America, what have you. And you got to understand, that's what I was saying before, like you got to really go and look at the numbers, how much we pay in taxes. So it's about what, over $14 trillion a year, right, in taxes that we're paying, right? That's just on the business part, right? So personal income taxes come in around 2.2 trillion, and we pay over $360 billion in just freaking regular sales tax, right? They spent in 2023 $1.6 trillion on welfare, right? So we're talking about, SNAP and, all the programs, everything, 1.6 trillion, right? Now, the estimate in Congress, I talk about this all the time on C-SPAN, it came on there, multiple people came and crunched the numbers, and they basically came to the conclusion that if we dedicate between 10 to $30 billion a year, so know what I'm saying? 10 to $30 billion a year, we can wipe out homelessness in America, right? So how is it that we can pay 10 to 30 billion a year to wipe out homelessness, yet we're spending 1.6 trillion on welfare? How is it that we can't just allocate that, 30 billion a year just to, be safe, to stomping out homelessness and solving a lot of the problems that we have, right? So that tells you the money is not going where they say it's going. There's no way in the world $1.6 trillion is going to people on welfare. There is, I think it's around 60 million people, 65 million people on welfare. And if we spending $1.6 trillion on welfare, that would be enough to give those people an annual salary, at least $20,000 a year or something like that. But it's a bunch of other programs and stuff that it pays for, but it's no way we allocating all that money towards the welfare program. It's obviously going somewhere else. But these are the numbers that they give us. Again, you got to look at everything that they're coming after. Like, it's ridiculous. And a lot of programs is going to fall. And I mean, you got to look at it. Like when Trump is talking about making America great again, like people got to really understand what that means. And I keep talking about this because I don't think people get it. And going back to where it should be and making things more even in the way it's supposed to be, as far as one, I mean, this is a fascist country. There's no way around it. But I mean, looking at sending all the jobs over there, getting cheap labor to make products cheaply, right? We're still paying more than we should pay for a product that's made for $5, and we're paying $67 for a product that's $5. And in some cases, we're paying in the hundreds for products that's $12, $13, $14, $20 to make. We're paying $600, $700, what have you. So it's ridiculous. But you look at it and say, okay, well, it's good for the business, but it's not good for the consumer. And again, it's the consumer that's going to be hurting all this. Us being basically taxed more, one, and then two, sales tax. And of course, the prices of products is going to go through the roof soon. So we had Black Friday, of course, and wanted to see the numbers and see if it's going to be a crazy run on the stores for products and see if people really understand that, hey, it's probably a good idea now to take advantage of Black Friday and get a lot of these products quickly, because you might be able to sell them for a good profit later on if things actually go up. So, a lot of people think, hey, this is a lot of trash talk and rhetoric by Trump to raise prices on stuff, help his little business buddies out or what have you. And we've seen that reflect with Black Fridays, a lot of good sales, but we'll see when the final numbers come in how much people actually bought. But again, we talk about in Merkabah Scholar Society about investing and buying silver and gold or what have you. I showed you guys where to get gold from, where to get silver. I actually have some silver bars here. A lot of these 1 ounce bars come in these little packages like this. A silver, it's an ounce, 2 ounces right here. So you can get these little bars. I showed you guys in the video of me just buying these not too long ago. I have a safe full of this stuff. This would be about $3,000 if it was solid gold. $3,000. This was an ounce of gold, about $3,000. But get the silver, it's cheap. These little bars right here, it's definitely worth the money. I got 5 of them for less than $200. It's 5 of them right here is how it comes. So buy this stuff, it's just only going to go up. It's just smarter, because as soon as you buy those bars, even if you buy a little half a gram and gram bars, it makes money as soon as you click buy, right? As soon as you click buy, when it's in transit on its way to you, it's going up. It's just a good investment, for now, just to be smart, put your money in good places. We got into all that in all the stock videos, but stay tuned. It's a lot of stuff coming up. I want to do this quick rundown video. I wanted to talk about this stuff a little bit in the beginning, but you guys watch the videos. Merkle Scholar Society members, a lot of new videos come out. Check your emails. But we're going to get into this stuff a lot more in society, and I'll put on some videos here and there on YouTube. But it's a lot to get in. I don't want to say too much on here because I don't want the video taken down. But yeah, stay tuned. Consultations, I'm booking through February, so link is in the description. Make sure you guys take advantage of those. Spots are filling up. Also, again, this is it. I'm not joking this time. We're done. The price is going to go up for Merkabah Scholar Society. Get your membership. Link is in the description. There's payment plans that made it cheap, easy, did not raise the price at all. It will be raised come Monday. Take advantage of it now. It'll still be the same price points to monthly price points, but you'll just be paying them longer. But take advantage. Yeah, let's get into this rundown video, and I'll see you guys next video. Thanks for watching. So one of the main appeals of cryptocurrency is its decentralization, meaning it is not centralized. It's peer-to-peer. It's a bunch of people who decide what's going to happen versus, a central, one thing, one entity, basically. So with it being decentralized, you have, more eyes on it, more transparency. It's safer. It's just better for it. And, everybody has a stake in, the stock doing well and everything working well with cryptocurrency. Like, you want it to work well because that's how you make your money, which I'm going to break down. So, we have what central banks, they control everything. They control the interest rate. They control where the money goes and how it's allocated and, so on and so forth. And they don't do what's best for the people. So if you want to put your money in something, because you already know, if I go invest in, one of these companies, these corporation stocks, Microsoft, so on and so forth, they're controlled by, the news can cause the stock to go up or down. And, it's the same thing with crypto, but there's people behind these corporations to where their decisions affect your money. Whereas with crypto, it's just keep doing what you're doing, people buying, people selling, it works itself out. It's more safe. So we had, of course, what's going to happen, as I said, executive order passed by Biden, basically, breaking down how crypto is going to work and not putting any crazy sanctions on it, which drove crypto up, basically giving it a good, okay, saying we're going to monitor this and we're going to do what's best for the investors. And we want to be the leading country in cryptocurrency, which right now we're not. And we'll get into that. And, good stuff, of course. So again, looking at this, just paying attention. We don't want any regulations. We don't want anything coming in between. The decentralization of cryptocurrencies, not at this moment when it's like still on the rise. There's a bigger thing to all this, and it's going to blow your mind because this is just, breadcrumbs. And you start to look at stuff. And now, which is the reason why I waited to put this out, you're going to start to see why everything happened the way it did. Corona, everything that's happening now has to deal with this. Also, in this executive order, Biden urged the Federal Reserve as well as the Treasury to go ahead and look into CBDC. So crypto-backed digital currency. So the dollar, as we know, is weakening. And again, you have to think about this. The more cryptocurrency rise, the weaker the dollar will get, which will eventually bring up oil prices, gas prices. Get into that. So call for this CBDC, calling for, regulations and just looking into what can be best and how we can have a digital dollar. This is public. He said this publicly. This is a big thing. So we know dollar's on its way out. The whole thing is going to be the transition. How is it going to happen? And then will it still be decentralized? And if a government gets its hand on it, how is that going to work? We talk about money. So again, just think about this. Think about what's happening. Some of you are going to be able to put this together before I get to the end of the video because it's crazy. So it's calling for decentralization, right? Everybody's putting money into crypto. So enters, Elon Musk. As you know, Elon Musk came on and basically said, Tesla, we're not going to do Bitcoin no more. It's taking too much power. And I got a lot of people hit me up about this when it happened because it's like, well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Power. It's taking too much power, too much energy. So he's like, no, we can't mess with Bitcoin. It's taking up too much energy. And a lot of people hit me up like, hey, what the hell? How does crypto take up energy? Like, it's digital, right? How is it taking up energy? And this has to get into, just understand what Bitcoin mining is and how that whole thing works. We want to get into that. But it's a big deal. And you have to really think about how you can safely do this in this computer age. We got hackers all over the place. People are really good at what they do. So, I mean, if you think about $1, you go and spend $1, go to the store, give them your money, transaction's done. They have your money. But if I can keep taking that dollar out of the cash register, spending it over and over again, that's stealing, so how can you stop a person from using the same Bitcoin over and over again, being it digital? Also, how does that, digital Bitcoin or crypto translates into actual energy? Like, how does that work? And a lot of you guys understand about Bitcoin mining. So again, you'll understand, but it's a big deal. And we got to look at it and understand, like, how is it that we can validate this system and get it to work for everybody without it being fraud? So came up with a perfect system. And you have the cryptocurrency system with Bitcoin working P2P, which is peer-to-peer. So they have a network. And this thing is really based on blockchain technology. Blockchain. So what blockchain is, that's what all this is about. It's going to make sense in the end. Everything that's happening, all of it, is about blockchain. And if you understand what a blockchain is, you can kind of put the pieces together. But it has to do with blockchains. So how do you keep people from, stealing? You have with crypto. We're just going to use Bitcoin because everybody knows about Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, right, every transaction is recorded within a block. So you'll have stored in a block the information from the person that's buying, the person that's selling, the transaction amount. And that will also be, coupled with a hash. Now, a hash is basically like the fingerprint of the transaction. It's alphanumeric, code that's generated, and it's going to basically, be at the forefront of the block. You might as well say it's going to headline the block, the header of the block, which we'll get into. Now, with that, you have that block put into a network. So the people, the miners, the Bitcoin miners, they basically mine the network. They are the people that's going to validate this block to make sure that the transaction is valid. And in the transaction, they're going to make sure that, cost is right, the name of the business or the people, so on and so forth. Your crypto address, you're going to have all that has to add up and a bunch of other stuff. So once they validate that and they say that's cool, they add that block to the blockchain. So once it's added to the blockchain, then, it's legit. It's in the chain, it's legit. Now, once it's in the blockchain, let's say the block that's put in there is block number 4. It's going to have the code, which is the hash from the previous blocks that came before it. Okay. So that's how you make it a chain. So it's going to have this new hash and the hash of the block before it, and they're going to link up. So what happens is once that new block is created, that new hash is created, that hash is going to be put into every block after it, so on and so forth. It's going to go back and forth. The new hash and then the previous hash, so on and so forth. So if you try to steal a block, you want to steal crypto, you have to edit the hash. Plain and simple. The hash has to be edited and you have to know what those numbers are. So once you do that, then, then every block before or what have you, after this new block, it's confusing, has to be edited as well. So the whole thing is computers are fast enough to where you can go ahead and do this split second. Nobody's going to notice. So to get around that problem, they came up with what's called proof of work. Okay. So proof of work is basically these Bitcoin miners, these people in the P2P network, regular people, which understand this, anybody, any person can go and jump onto the, the blockchain network. Anybody can do it. All you need is the software and you need equipment, which we'll get into. and anybody can jump on there and you can become a Bitcoin miner. So what happens is people, they go ahead and validate all this information. So what they did with the proof of work, the creator of Bitcoin, he came up with this whole system to where, they slow down the process of creating a new block. So now it's like, every 10 minutes or so, a block can be created, which gives the miners, the people who's validating all this information, time to see if somebody edited a block or changed it. So if you try to change a block, it's enough time for them to catch it, and then they won't allow that block into the chain. The only way the crypto can be validated, the Bitcoin, is if it's in the chain, and it has to be validated by more than 50% of the people in the P2P network in order for it to be, Bitcoin. So now what does this have to do with energy or power? So the whole thing is you have people mining Bitcoin. You have people validating this process, and you need special equipment to do so, because you're talking about calculating a freaking astronomical amount of alphanumeric, letters and numbers. So to do this, you need to have a crazy powerful computer. You need a lot of processing power, but Bitcoin requires special equipment to do so that costs a lot of money, a bunch of money. So you get this equipment and you can go ahead and start, Bitcoin mining. And if you do it correctly, you can get actually paid Bitcoin. Because I know you're going to ask yourself, well, why would a person, spend their time, going into the network and validating other people's transaction? What do they get out of it? Well, what they get out of it is if you can create these codes, these alphanumeric numbers to be validated, then you can get paid Bitcoin for doing so. So this is kind of complicated. So you got to understand, just like the dollar, we have to print paper money to basically coincide with the rise of the economy. So if the economy is going up and the price of stuff is going up, we got to print more money. And sometimes we print money for huge economic situations or war, so on and so forth. We got to print out money. Bitcoin is digital, but we can't just keep printing it up over and over again because, it'll be too much. It has to be some type of regulation or system to it. So what's built into the system is this whole Bitcoin mining thing, to where, it's crazy. When you have the miners, they go and they're going to validate this information in a transaction, right? And they're going to take this transaction and a bunch of other transactions and put them into a memory pool. So the memory pool is basically where the transactions go while they wait to become a block. Okay? It's confusing, but it's all going to make sense in the end. Trust me. They wait for it to become a block. So you're going to have a miner come and verify all the information in this whole thing. And then they go ahead and they take each of these transactions and, they basically group them together and they add their own transaction to those transactions. So their transaction will probably be the first transaction, and that transaction is put there. So once they complete this, this mining, if they successfully complete it first, I'll explain in a second, then they can make sure they get paid, from the transaction. So you're going to have all of these transactions lined up. And then, basically called, as I said, it's a memory pool. And then you have what's called a root tree or a hash tree. And it's the Merkle root. So each of these transactions is going to be hashed. And when I say hashed, I basically mean alphanumeric code is going to be generated. So if you ever, sign up for, online anything, sometimes they generate a password for you, and it's be a bunch of letters and numbers. If you ever cracked anything or ever used the keygen generator on a computer, that's basically the same thing. The keygen generator generates a key code that you're going to use to basically, run the product. Happens with Photoshop, a lot of programs. You've probably seen it before. But so each transaction has a hash created, which is an alphanumeric number that's going to be created specifically for that transaction. So that's done. And then the transactions are coupled, meaning, two at a time. And then those two are hashed, meaning those two, they make an alphanumeric number for those two. And then so on and so forth, like a tree, until it comes to one, number, like a pyramid almost. Well, exactly. So once the root tree is completed, that number, that root tree number, is put into a block with the what's called a nonce, which is a random number. So you have that root tree number, that alphanumeric number. You have a nonce, which the N stands for number only used, and then it's ONCE, once. So a nonce, and then you have that get hashed into what's going to be called a block identifier, which is going to be like, kind of the fingerprint of the block. So difficult, I know, crazy. So what happens is that number is basically regulated by the system, and it has to begin with a certain amount of zeros. So what they're trying to do is basically what I said before, like a key generator. They're trying to generate a number. So if you came up with a password of your own, you're fine. Not in this system, but I'm just saying, if you're using one of those programs, or if you're signing up for a website and you use your own password, you're cool. If not, if they have to generate a password, let's say if you lost your password and it has to generate a password to send you, then this is what it's going to use, something like this. So the whole thing is, I can't generate a password that was used already to give to you. So I'm going to get around that. So, zeros is the best way to do it. So certain amount of zeros it has to start with. And basically what the miner has to do is come up with that number. So we're talking about, it's a bunch of puzzles and cryptexts. Remember, this is going to make sense to people. Remember what it's called, captchas? And those little cryptic things you have to do. You see them all the time. You got to, show me the pictures with the bicycle. Okay, you match those up. Boom, it's legit. It's the same type of situation. So what they're basically going to do, and that's kind of like a puzzle, believe it or not, what they have to do is match this up. They have to come up with a number that's going to fit with the program, with the system that hasn't been used, that will work. It's real difficult to get into. So what they do, and it's a bunch of people doing this, what they do is you can tweak the node. And the node, remember, it has to be one specific number. That's it. So let's say the number is 1. If I change it to 2, then the identifier number will change. If I change it to 3, it will change again. So I'm going to keep tweaking that node until that number changes to a point where it matches up and it becomes valid. Then I will submit that number to the rest of the P2P network and the people to validate this number as being a number that hasn't been used. They'll validate it. And if they validate it, they'll put it into the blockchain, which that will, I'll earn Bitcoin from doing that. Somebody does it before me, they get the money. So this is done with every transaction. It's people online doing it all the time. And it's not easy to do because you have a hash difficulty. And that's that number that has to be, changed with the zeros. The hash difficulty is basically dependent on the amount of power the person has. So the power is allocated. So a person they have a certain portion of the power that is basically produced within the system. So your odds of, creating a hash that's going to be accepted is really depending on the proportion of energy you have within the network, plain and simple. So what you can do is you can form a mining pool, and that's you getting with different people that have different amounts of, proportion power on the network. And when they get together, they create these. And as you can see here, this is a lot of equipment. So you can imagine how much power is being used and generated to basically process all of these, transactions to mine Bitcoin. And we're talking about just Bitcoin here. And there's other, cryptos that's being mined besides Bitcoin. But Bitcoin alone takes up a shitload of power to mine. So for the Bitcoin network alone, it takes 116 trillion watts per hour. So to put that in perspective, that's about 0.5% of the entire, world's energy consumption. And by comparison, we have the internet, and we have data, data collection, the internet basically. And that takes up 200 terawatts per hour, which is about 0.8% of the energy used, globally. So we're talking about a lot of energy. And I know you guys probably seen a lot of reports and people talking about, these whole pools causing power outages. And it's crazy. It's a huge power consumption that is being used. And it's something a lot of people didn't know about when understanding how this thing works, because you got to look at it. You have a chance to really put together some computers, sit down and, run a program and make millions of dollars. Crazy money. Just buying the equipment. So the more equipment you can afford to buy, the greater chance you have of, getting into a pool and mining crypto. I never knew, it costs that much energy to process. And, I build computers. I built my computer at home, and I know, it takes a lot of processing. And, you have a lot of computing you need to do. You need a lot of processors, and they get hot. So you need a big space to put them in. You need you need fans, you need air. And anybody who works with computers, you understand this. This is a huge issue when you think about the energy consumption that all of these, computers, the software and this hardware is generating. And this is the thing that Tesla was talking about. It's too much energy. It's consuming too much energy. It's going to be a problem. Think about that, what that's going to mean in a second. But you have this, and you have all these people going ham, trying to get these, trying to mine Bitcoin and get this money. The thing is, you have more demand than ever for Bitcoin. As I said, more and more companies are using it. More and more stores are accepting it. And they also stated by the year 2140, there will be no more Bitcoin mining. So you better get all the Bitcoin you can generate, because by then they calculated that, they will never need to mine any more Bitcoin. It should be enough to last digitally, despite, depending on what we do, depending on how things go. So 2140, which none of us will be here by then. So you got your whole lifetime to go ahead and mine Bitcoin if you want to get into that. A lot of money to be made, but also costs a lot of money to get into, and a lot of power. It's something that you can't do at a house, which is why these people got money and they buying up warehouses and old prisons and all kinds of stuff to store all this equipment in to process this stuff. It sounds stupid, sounds crazy, and it don't make sense. Got to be an easier way, you understand, to do this, and it's going to make sense in a second. So then we have Ethereum, and Ethereum does what Bitcoin does with money, but with software, you understand, with digital products. So with Ethereum, and Ethereum is where you get the whole NFT craze, non-fungible token. So a non-fungible token is basically something that can't be broken down, you understand? So like you got $20 bill, I could break that down to 2 10s, or I could break it down to 4 5s. Like with the NFT, that can't be broken down. Like if you have a digital artwork, I can't break that down into, 4. It's just one of a kind. And this is what these NFTs are about. You basically buying an NFT for your product, your digital product, and it's going to be the most secure product online. And then now you don't have to worry about nobody stealing it. The transfer of ownership is easy, and you can basically purchase NFTs and Ether. So Ether is like Bitcoin, and that basically runs the entire Ethereum network. It's Ether. So have an art show, or you want to sell digital product, buy NFT for it, and then you sell it through that. That way the transaction happens. No crazy business, and you're done. These transactions are done with smart contracts, and the smart contract is the future. It's all of this is about to come together. Smart contract. So a smart contract is basically your agreement between the person that's you're going to be doing business with, to where nothing can be changed. So as of now, if it's why you have closing costs, why you have lawyers. If I do a contract, then I can go on ahead and hand it off to the lawyer, who can change something after I done signed it already, and then you sign it, and then later down the road something was changed, and I'm like, it's already binding. I signed it. It was changed. It's an issue. It's also a way to keep people from out of reneging on contracts, so it's digital. It's something that's used in Major League Baseball uses it, and a bunch of other programs are starting to use it, because a lot of people are starting to use Ethereum to create decentralized programs. So basically now, the regulations you have to worry about in creating a program now, you have to deal with if you want to put it on a certain network. With Ethereum, you don't have to worry about that. And you can basically create any program you want, put it on Ethereum, and then accept the Ether as payment, which of course you can break down into cash eventually, or Bitcoin. And it's legit. It's secure. So now, how does all this translate into what's happening today? It just so happens that the biggest Bitcoin miners in the world, China, US, Russia, the creator of Ethereum was born in Russia. So you have the biggest suction of power happening in these three countries that's on the brink of war, not by coincidence.